Every 4 years, the FIFA World Cup final crowns a new champion. 90 minutes separate one nation from football immortality. Some finals are remembered for unforgettable goals, some for heartbreaking drama, some for the legends they created. But every now and then, a World Cup final does something far greater. It changes football itself, not just the result, not just the trophy, the future of the game. One final transformed an entire nation's identity. Another introduced a football philosophy that inspired generations. One crowned the greatest player of his era. Another forced the world to rethink how football should be played. Each generation believes its World Cup final changed football forever. Brazil in 1970, Argentina in 1986, France in 1998, Spain in 2010, Argentina again in 2022. Each has its supporters, each has its own powerful story. But changing history is not the same as changing football. A great final can inspire millions. A historic final can transform a nation. But only a truly extraordinary final leaves fingerprints on every generation that follows. So how do we answer a question like this? Not by counting goals, not by measuring drama, and not by asking which match was the most entertaining. Instead, we must ask a different question. Which final changed how football was played? Which final changed how football was understood? Which final left a legacy that still shapes the game today? Because every World Cup final makes history, but only one may have changed football forever. At first, the answer seems obvious. Maybe it was Brazil in 1970, the team that taught the world how beautiful football could be. Or perhaps it was Argentina in 1986, the tournament that turned Diego Maradona into football's greatest legend. Maybe Spain in 2010, the night tiki-taka reached its absolute peak. Or Lionel Messi's unforgettable triumph in 2022, the perfect ending to the greatest career football has ever seen. Each of those finals changed history. But history is not always where football truly changes. Because before Brazil inspired the world, before Maradona became immortal, before Spain reinvented possession football, and before Messi completed his legacy, there was another final. A final that changed something much deeper. It changed what people believed was possible. Because until that day, the strongest team was expected to win. Football was still searching for its greatest miracle. Then came 1954, Hungary, West Germany. One match, one impossible result, and perhaps the first World Cup final that truly changed football forever. In 1954, the football world believed the World Cup already had its champion. That champion was Hungary. They were not simply the best team on the planet. They looked almost impossible to defeat. Led by Ferenc Puskás, Hungary had spent years humiliating the strongest nations in Europe. They played a style of football far ahead of its time. Fluid movement, constant positional rotation, quick passing, relentless attacking. Many historians consider the mighty Magyars the first truly modern football team. West Germany, meanwhile, arrived with far fewer expectations. Only 9 years earlier, the country had emerged from the devastation of the Second World War. Its economy was struggling. Its national identity was broken. Very few believed this young German team could stand against Hungary. The group stage only reinforced that belief. Hungary crushed West Germany 83. The difference looked enormous. When the two nations met again in the final, almost everyone expected the same outcome. The match began exactly as predicted. Hungary scored first, then scored again. After only 8 minutes, Germany trailed 20. For most teams, the final would already have been over. But something extraordinary happened. Germany refused to accept the script. They fought back immediately. They matched Hungary's intensity. They believed when almost nobody else did. Late in the match, Helmut Rahn scored the goal that stunned the football world. West Germany had defeated the greatest team on earth. The result became known forever as the Miracle of Bern. The Miracle of Bern was never just about football. For West Germany, it became something far greater. Only 9 years after the Second World War, the country was still rebuilding its economy, its cities, and its identity. Many Germans had grown up surrounded by defeat. The World Cup offered something they had almost forgotten: hope. For the first time in years, an entire nation celebrated together. The victory became a symbol that Germany could rebuild not only its football, but its confidence. Historians would later describe the triumph as one of the emotional foundations of modern West Germany. Football had become larger than sport. It had become part of a nation's recovery. But the miracle of Bern also changed football itself. It proved that reputation alone could never guarantee victory. The greatest team could lose. The impossible could happen. That belief would become part of every World Cup that followed. Every underdog since 1954 has entered the tournament believing, if Germany could beat Hungary, why can't we? That is the true legacy of Bern. It changed football's imagination. It transformed the World Cup from a tournament of favorites into a tournament where miracles became possible. And once football discovered that miracles could happen, the World Cup would never feel predictable again. If 1954 taught football to believe, 1970 taught football how to dream. Brazil arrived in Mexico carrying extraordinary expectations, not because they were defending champions, because they possessed something the world had never seen before. A team filled with artists Pelé, Jairzinho, Tostão, Rivellino, Carlos Alberto. Individually, each could change a match. Together, they changed football itself. Their opponents were Italy, a nation famous for tactical discipline, defensive intelligence, and championship experience. The final became more than Brazil against Italy. It became two different visions of football: structure against freedom, discipline against creativity, calculation against imagination. Brazil won 4-1, but the score never became the story. The football did. Every movement seemed effortless. Every pass carried confidence. Every attack looked like art. Then came the final goal. Carlos Alberto finishing one of the greatest team moves in football history. Even today, many still consider it the perfect goal. Brazil did not simply win the 1970 World Cup. They captured the imagination of the entire planet. For the first time in history, a World Cup final was broadcast around the world in color. Millions of families watched football unlike they had ever seen before. The yellow shirts, the green pitch, the effortless movement, the smiles, the celebration of attacking football. For many people, this was their first true image of the World Cup, and that image became unforgettable. Pelé was no longer just Brazil's greatest player. He became football's first global superstar. His name crossed continents. His style inspired generations. His joy became part of football's identity. The phrase "the beautiful game" existed before 1970, but Brazil gave those words a face. Around the world, young players no longer dreamed only of winning. They dreamed of playing beautifully. Coaches began encouraging creativity. Supporters expected entertainment. Football became more than competition. It became expression. Even today, when people imagine joyful football, their minds often return to Brazil, not because they won, but because they showed the world what football could look like at its very best. If 1954 changed football's belief, 1970 changed football's imagination. Not every World Cup is remembered for a team. Some are remembered for one man. In 1986, that man was Diego Maradona. By the time Argentina reached the final, he had already produced one of the greatest individual tournaments football had ever witnessed. He inspired, he created, he scored, he carried. Every opponent knew where Argentina's greatest danger came from, yet almost nobody could stop him. The final against West Germany became the last chapter of that extraordinary journey. Argentina raced into a 2-goal lead. Then everything changed. Germany fought back. The score became 22. The World Cup was slipping away. In moments like these, legends reveal themselves. Maradona touched the ball only once. One perfectly weighted pass. One decisive moment. Jorge Burruchaga scored. Argentina were world champions. Maradona did not score in the final. He did not need to, because the tournament already belonged to him. The trophy simply completed the story. a story that would define football greatness for generations. Before 1986, football celebrated great teams. After 1986, the world also believed one extraordinary player could define an entire generation. Maradona did not win the World Cup alone. Football is never that simple, but his influence felt larger than anyone had witnessed before. He became the heartbeat of Argentina. Every attack seemed to begin with him. Every moment of danger seemed to pass through him. The final completed a tournament that many still describe as the greatest individual World Cup ever played. And with it, football found a new way of measuring greatness. From that moment on, every generation searched for its own Maradona. Every young superstar faced the same question. Can he carry a nation? Can he decide the biggest matches? Can he win the World Cup? The debate would continue for decades. Ronaldo, Zidane, Ronaldinho, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi. Every comparison eventually returned to one tournament. Mexico 1986, because that World Cup became the benchmark, not just for champions, but for immortality. If 1954 changed football's belief, and 1970 changed football's imagination, then 1986 changed football's definition of greatness. Not every World Cup final changes football on the pitch. Some change everything beyond it. France in 1998 was more than a host nation. It was a country searching for unity, different cultures, different backgrounds, different identities, all wearing the same blue shirt. The French national team reflected a changing nation. Some celebrated that idea, others questioned it. The World Cup became much more than a football tournament. It became a test of national identity. Standing in France's way was Brazil, the defending world champions, the nation that had defined beautiful football for generations. Many expected another Brazilian celebration. Instead, France delivered one of the most complete performances ever seen in a World Cup final. Zinedine Zidane scored twice. The hosts controlled the match. Brazil never truly recovered. France won 30. For the first time in history, France were world champions. The celebration spread far beyond football. For millions of people, this victory represented something much larger than sport. It represented the possibility of one nation, united by one team. France did not simply become world champions in 1998. They became a model. The victory gave an entire football nation something priceless: belief. Young players across France suddenly saw a future that had once felt impossible. The impact reached far beyond one summer. Football academies received greater investment. Youth development became a national priority. Talent identification expanded into every corner of the country. At the heart of that vision stood Clairefontaine. France's National Football Academy had opened years earlier, but after 1998, it became a symbol of what long-term development could achieve. The message was clear. Success was not built every 4 years. It was built every single day. The next generations proved that lesson. Thierry Franck Ribéry, Karim Benzema, Antoine Griezmann, Kylian Mbappé. Different eras, different styles, the same football culture. France stopped relying on exceptional generations. They built a system capable of producing them again and again. That may be the greatest legacy of 1998. Not one unforgettable team, but a football nation that learned how to renew itself. If 1954 changed football's belief, 1970 changed football's imagination, 1986 changed football's definition of greatness, then 1998 changed football's vision of long-term development. It proved that lasting success is rarely accidental. It is built through patience, planning, and generations working toward the same idea. Some World Cup finals celebrate great players, others celebrate great teams. The 2010 World Cup final celebrated an idea. Spain had spent years developing a football philosophy unlike anything the world had seen before. Possession, patience, positioning, control. Every pass had a purpose. Every movement created space. Every player understood where the next pass should go before receiving the ball. At the heart of that system stood extraordinary football intelligence. Xavi, Andrés Iniesta, Sergio Busquets. Behind them stood the calm leadership of Iker Casillas and one of the strongest defensive partnerships of the modern era, Carles Puyol, Gerard Piqué, later supported by the relentless presence of Sergio Ramos. This was never a team built only to entertain. It was built to control every part of a football match. The final against the Netherlands became a battle of philosophies. Spain refused to abandon their identity, even under relentless pressure, even when chances were limited. Then, deep into extra time, Andrés Iniesta scored. Spain became world champions for the first time, but the trophy was only part of the story. Spain's greatest achievement was never winning the World Cup. It was changing the conversation about how football should be played. After 2010, possession was no longer seen as passive. It became a weapon. Control became a form of defending. The ball became the safest place to protect a lead. Coaches across the world began studying Spain's ideas. Not just their passes, their positioning, their spacing, their decision-making. The influence reached far beyond the national team. Barcelona had already demonstrated many of these principles. Spain's World Cup victory proved they could succeed on the biggest international stage. Pep Guardiola's positional football gained even greater global attention. Football academies started teaching players to understand space before they understood systems. Midfield intelligence became as valuable as physical strength. Goalkeepers were expected to build attacks. Center-backs became playmakers. Defensive midfielders became the team's first architects. Around Europe, clubs began adapting these principles. Some copied them completely. Others blended them with their own football cultures. Years later, the fingerprints of that philosophy could still be seen. Manchester City, Arsenal, Bayer Leverkusen. Many of the world's best teams built their own identities around ideas that echoed Spain's revolution. Not because they wanted to become Spain, but because Spain had shown what modern football could become. If 1954 changed football's belief, 1970 changed football's imagination, 1986 changed football's definition of greatness, 1998 changed football's vision of long-term development, then 2010 changed football's philosophy. Some World Cup finals create legends. The 2022 World Cup final completed one. For nearly 2 decades, Lionel Messi had won almost everything football could offer. League titles, Champions League trophies, Ballon d'Or awards, individual records. Yet one question followed him everywhere. Could he win the World Cup? The comparison with Diego Maradona never disappeared. For many people, the World Cup remained the final piece of the puzzle. Standing opposite Argentina was France, the defending world champions, led by another extraordinary talent, Kylian Mbappé. It felt like more than one final. It felt like one era meeting the next. Argentina controlled the match for long periods. Messi inspired once again. Then everything changed. Mbappé brought France back. Extra time, more goals, more drama. 2 footballing generations refused to surrender. When the final whistle finally arrived, only penalties could separate them. Argentina prevailed. Messi lifted the World Cup. One image instantly joined football history.